It's the winter of 1985. When driver Patrick Abbott gets his wake-up call at 2 a.m., he's out of bed and ready to leave within minutes.
I'll see you tonight.
The temperature's below freezing, but Pat doesn't mind the cold. He is a man with a mission. Today, he's driving the 502 parcels train to Bloemfontein. Beaconsfield Depot in the small hours of a winter's morning is a dark, noisy and strangely exhilarating place. Patrick and his firemen set about preparing their regular engine number 3454 for the journey ahead. The regulations insist that 25 minutes be devoted to oiling and greasing, a routine which has all the solemnity of a sacred ritual. Oil lamps burn meekly, and oil cans minister to discreetly placed lubrication points. Beaconsfield Locomotive Depot in the early 1980s was a living tribute to the Industrial Revolution. In its cavernous bowels dwelt the monsters of the past, giants of steel waiting to greet the dawn. It was a world of fire and water, grease and tar, toil and sweat. Such was the very substance of life. It was an engulfing world of steam and sulfur and billowing emissions, a world of enduring fundamentals, of archaic structure, massive engineering, and simplicity of principle. This was a man's world, a world of heavy tools and the sound of metal against metal. Life was an endless cycle of responding to the locomotive's needs, oiling, greasing, cleaning, repairing. steam locomotive's appetite was insatiable. To satisfy it, truckloads of coal were trundled around the clock onto the coaling stage, a structural colossus of blackened steel girded to take the weight of thousands of tons of fuel. Keeping the bunkers filled with coal was an industry in itself. Pat cannot pass up any opportunity to clean his engine. In fact, he confesses rather sheepishly that he cannot even contemplate breakfast until he knows she has met his exacting requirements. The requirements for breakfast are simple and few: a preheated oven, a clean, heavy shovel, and a good length of sausage. Fry for 30 seconds at 1000 degrees centigrade. Results are guaranteed. Train movements on a single-track line like this are controlled by the Van Schoor token system, exchanging the old token for a new one. Pat likes to perform this exchange at full speed. It's a test of both his own skill and the level of cooperation from the station master. Sometimes tokens are exchanged directly between trains. Whichever train gets to the passing loop first must wait for the one that it has to cross. Like an enormous household mincer, this infinitely revolving worm inexorably sucks coal in at one end and spews it out at the other. The coal is directed into the fire by jets of steam controlled by the firemen. With a firebox the size of a 25's, the mechanical stoker is not a luxury, it's an absolute necessity. On the last heavy grade before Bloemfontein, 3454 slows to a dogged pace, rocking and swaying with the alternating staccato thrust of each of her two cylinders. The Eastern Free State region of South Africa is a little-known area of unexpected beauty. The distant Maluti Mountains preside over cliffs of golden sandstone, layer upon layer brought and deposited by the winds of time, legacies of ancient geology. This is a land where prairie and mountain meet, a land hugging the foothills of the great escarpment that ultimately gives way to the sea. Situated in the southeast of the continent, the Eastern Free State is one of South Africa's jewels. And winding its way through this highland region runs a magnificent scenic railway, the 301-kilometer line from Bethlehem to Bloemfontein. During the golden age of railways, this line was one of the world's great theaters of steam. This is a railway out of Africa. Unfurling through shorn fields and following the rugged lie of the land, it played host from the early 1970s to the biggest non-articulated locomotives on the continent, the mighty Class 25 NCs. Yourney 15F shunts at Marseille station in June 1984. A common sight at the time, but no less arresting for being so. The steam locomotive was so much a part of things, so etched into the landscape and the hearts and minds of people, that it was difficult to imagine life without it. Like all good things, it seemed that this world would never end. But like all good things, it did. The culmination of a team effort between man and machine. As Patrick says, he and his engine share a certain rapport.
When I started on the railway, there in 1961, I started on steam, and before I went to college to become a driver, I had the opportunity of taking diesel. I didn't. I believe a train isn't a train unless it's been pulled by a steam engine. This thing talks to you, you know. Diesel doesn't. The beat and the movement and the clang-a-lang-a-lang and the going and all that. You're more at ease than what you are on a thing like that. I think you got more pride on a steam engine, although you are always dirty and then sitting there with a tie and a suit on. Yeah.
Number 3454 is Pat's pride and joy. He and his firemen spare no effort in keeping her in perfect, gleaming condition.
To start from scratch, take you inside and outside. It takes you about 10, 11 hours. It takes us 3 hours just to clean the inside.
And of course, there's always the secret recipe.
You take a bit of graphite, you mix it with a bit of syrup, a bit of brown sugar, and a bit of thick oil, and you mix it up and you put it on.
And no well-dressed lady appears in public without her jewellery.
Well, all these ornaments, you start collecting them when you start on the railway, and you keep them. We change them around, change the scenery once a week, you know.
In the twilight of steam, Pat tries not to think about saying goodbye to his beloved engine.
You know, you hear such a lot of stories about steam disappearing, but I don't know. Yeah, it eats you. You worry about it, you know. It's your life, it's your whole life. Well, I hope I disappear with it.
South Africa, an arid, sprawling, thinly settled country. This is an ancient, geologically stable land with vast reserves of coal. And because of these, steam traction has survived here beyond its tenure in the modern world. In this, the twilight of steam, South Africa stands as one of the last lonely outposts. A steam locomotive working its heart out, the ever-faithful servant of man, stuff of boyhood memories, a quintessence of railway romance. Like the last bull elephant on the plains, these machines are the symbol of a changing Africa and of the disappearance of a mystique that no one can quite put their finger on. In touch with every heartbeat of the iron beast, the driver coaxes her onwards and upwards. A bright exhaust hangs over the hard-won miles of scrub as Orange River Station recedes into the massive aloofness of the Karoo. The desolation is broken only by the odd sleepy hamlet. Dotted sparsely along the line, tiny isolated station communities huddle close to the tracks. They exist purely to serve the railway. In July 1985, as 3439 and her crew work an everyday freight to De Aar, they are unaware that they are already making future history. Within 7 years, steam will be all but gone. But for now, the driver has 1,200 tons in the palm of his hand. And he and his fireman ride the iron horse up yet another long, exacting climb. Here, at Orange River Station, all steam-hauled trains have to stop for watering and fire cleaning. 3439 and her train of Zimbabwean trucks snake onto the loop, safely out of the way of other mainline traffic. Since leaving Kimberley, 120 kilometres back, 35,000 litres of water had been turned to steam in 3439's massive boiler. Her huge firebox has devoured over 5 tons of coal since the journey began, much of it not properly digested. These clogging masses of clinker block the all-important draft to the fire. They are the product of impurities in South Africa's low-grade coal. Ministering to these engines is a workaday ritual, an inescapable routine, the daily grind of the steam age. We may find these postscripts to the Industrial Revolution picturesque, but for the engine and her crew, some hard work lies ahead. They face an immediate steep climb out of the station, and the next 40 kilometres are also largely uphill. NCs were originally built as non-condensers. All told, the 3 variations of the 25th class have proved to be among South Africa's truly great locomotives. And in their sleek design and effortless power, they held the seed of something greater. An existing 25NC was singled out for further development by a British engineer, David Wardale. He modified her to the point where she qualified for sole membership of a completely new class, Class 26, affectionately known as the Red Devil. Though dimensionally unchanged, she was faster, more powerful, and much more fuel efficient. But she suffered from an unexpected drawback. With her increased power, transmitted through only 8 driving wheels, she proved light-footed and slippery. A heavier locomotive with more driving wheels would have got a much greater grip on the rails. Such a locomotive would have had really impressive pulling power, greater tractive effort. So designed, the Red Devil could have been the most successful steam locomotive ever built. She wasn't at her best, slipping and sliding out of a station, but once let loose on the open road, she was a stunning performer. She came very close to being the right locomotive. But she was in the wrong place at the wrong time. In the annals of steam progress, she is now nothing more than a tantalizing symbol of what might have been.
South Africa is one of the very few places left where you can still see a steam engine simply doing its job. Loved by some, regarded as uneconomic relics by others, they cannot be ignored. In the midst of all the nostalgia, the decision-making and the publicity, are the few people to whom these glamorous machines are also workhorses. For South Africa is still a working steam country. Drivers and firemen are paid to work the engines. Steam enthusiasts from all parts of the world pay a fortune to come and watch them doing so. The Safari had arrived here very early behind diesel. Its next locomotive was already being prepared. The illustrious Class 16E. This one, number 858, is the only working example left of a mere 6 originally built. They were exclusive prestige locomotives, built to haul crack passenger trains at high speeds.
Very, very nice locomotive. We had a beautiful trip behind that locomotive from the R to Kimberley.
Lean and lithe, with 6-foot driving wheels, the 16E can easily reach 160 kilometers per hour.
It depends on the maximum speed of the section, but she can run pretty fast, I would say.
Vir baie mense beteken stoomtreine 'n verlore era, maar dis nie regtig waar nie. Want vanaf stoomtreine in 1979 nie meer op Suid-Afrika se hooflyne gesien word nie, word daar gereeld stoomtrein safaris gehou. Die spoorlyn tussen die Oos-Kaapse dorpies Barkley Oos en Allewal Noord word soms die Walt Disney lyn genoem, want dit is 'n baie interessante roete. Veral die 8 sigsag sylyne trek altyd baie aandag, want die enigste manier om oor die berg te kom is vir die trein om telkens vorentoe en dan weer agteruit te stoot. Die 3 spoorlyn is al in die oorlogsjare gebou, toe geld nog so skaars soos diesel was en daar boonop te min treine was om die spoorlyn goed te benut. 2 lokomotiewe sal elk met helfte van die trein die skof oor die bergpas aanpak. Sue en Kathy is die 2 dames vir wie die Barkleypas en die vroeë wintertjie nie te veel gevra is nie. Bygesê met 'n aptyd soos hulle sing, het elk omtrent 10 ton steenkool gelaai om die 2 treine tot op Allewal Noord te kry. Ons is nog steeds in die geselskap van Tom en Sue, die 2 19D lokomotiewe. Vandag steek die sonnetjie lui weg en daarom kan 'n mens nie veel sien van die deel van die Oos-Kaap waardeur ons nou ry nie. Die opwinding van 'n paar tonnels op die roete vergoed daarom deels vir die sonnetjie se afwesigheid. Daar is daarom nog 'n troos, en dit is dat jy op koue wintersdae gewoonlik baie meer stoom te sien kan kry. Die ouens wat nou regtig lief is vir stoomlokomotiewe, sê die lokomotiewe is vir hulle net soos mense. Maar as die stoom eers opraak, is daar moeilikheid. Dis soos 'n atleet, sê hulle, wat doodmoeg kan neersak wanneer hy 'n paar keer vol stoom om die baan gehardloop het. 'n Mens kan seker sê dat stoomentoesiaste baie spesiale mense is. Blouwater is die laaste plek waar ons kan watervat. Hiervandaan klim ons 243 meter tot by die kruin van die Loodsberg. En dit lê nog 'n hele 11 kilometer vorentoe. Die Gerrit-lokomotief van byna 200 ton het glad 2 watertanks om verder te kan ry. En of dit nie genoeg is nie, knak sy lyf as dit ware op 2 plekke wat hom in staat stel om deur korter draai. Dis soos musiek vir hulle ore. Een van die belangrikste dinge wat 'n mens by jou fotosessie moet onthou, is om nie te praat wanneer jou vriend besig is om klank op te neem. En die goue reël is om nie in ander fotograwe se spoor te verskyn. Die Barkleypas is berig vir die steilste hellings in die land. 'n Styging van 1 meter op vir elke 35 meter vorentoe is glad nie ongewoon. Die manne op die voetplaat het hier geen ander keuse nie as om die spiere te bulk en in te spring met die graf. Gelykpad soos die stukkie sou wel vir die spoorbouers moontlik gewees het, maar volgens Transnet kon dit 'n draai van 200 km beteken het. Een mens wonder net wat Sue alles sou sê as sy kon hoor hoe party van haar passasiers lofliedere sing as hulle eers begin vertel van waar hulle liefde vir stoomlokomotiewe al begin het.
Stoomlokomotief. Hy het gesels met 'n mens. Die drywer verstaan hom en die stoker verstaan hom. Hy klank wat by sy skoorsteen uitkom. Hy praat met die drywer en die stoker. Selfs lekker dinge met jou. Maar hierdie lokomotief is deel van my lewe. Sal altyd deel wees van my lewe. Ek sê altyd vir my vroukie, dis my eerste liefde hierdie. Sy is my tweede liefde.